Okay, so I'd like to call this regular Board of Selectmen meeting to order March 3rd, 2025 at 5:30 PM. With me at the table is Selectwoman Jude Reed and Selectman Jim Lampos, along with First Selectwoman Martha Shoemaker. We have various members of the press and residents in the audience. So we're going to get started. Let's see, information items, anything for communication correspondence, Jim?
I received some correspondence from Andre Greco concerning automated speed enforcement. He's got some options available and would like to begin a dialogue.
Okay. Anything else?
A couple things on Halls Road again.
Yeah. Jude?
I received the same communication from Andre. Thank you. Fred Behringer wrote to us from Board of Finance with his concerns about money budgets regarding the pavilion down at White Sands. And David Kelsey sent a communication with an Excel spreadsheet. Veterans from the town of Old Lyme who served in all the wars, including the Civil War. And I think he sent the same thing to the two of you.
Yep.
And I'd like to add that I responded with questions about Revolutionary War veterans, and he jumped right on it. So
good, excellent. I know she spent a lot of time doing that research and wants the public to know, I think, that we had a lot of people who stepped up against slavery from Old Lyme and served in the military to fight slavery. So if we could commemorate that somehow, it'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, great. I received those as well. So ditto.
And lots of communications on Falls Road, of course.
Some from me. I'm only from the last week, not so many. Okay, if we're going to move on to public comment, is there anyone in the audience who would like to provide public comment today? Bob?
Sit down here.
Yep, there's a microphone.
Okay.
For you.
Hi, my name is Robin Breeding, 81 Neck Road. I just was wondering if you guys had any clarification as to how that special meeting got canceled. If there's any more clarification on that point of just how that happened. It seems there's a lot of misunderstanding about it.
Public comment is time for you to provide comments, but we don't answer.
Okay, that's my comment.
Okay, thanks. Is there anyone else? Cheryl?
Good evening. I'm Cheryl Poirier, 4 Holly Lane. I'm here tonight representing the start of the America 250 committee in Old Lyme. So far, you have appointed 3 people to that committee. Myself, Selectman Lampos, and Mark
Terwilliger.
Thank you. And we're excited to have more townspeople join us. There's a way to apply online. There are 4 subcommittees: festivities, history, heritage, and civic engagement. So we will be meeting in the coming months, and the history aspect of it has already gotten underway. We've created a web page that will be launched in the next few days on Explore Old Lyme just for America 250 and history blogs. Selectman Lampos has a couple of blogs ready to go regarding the Revolutionary War time and pre-Revolutionary War and folks in Old Lyme, which you know was at the time Lyme, which is causing us a lot of heartache in terms of terminology. But also, I've been attending Zoom meetings, and I'll be going to a state conference in a week or two for the state level activity for America 250. And they are very clear that they don't want anyone or any community doing more than they can. They keep talking about do things that are right sized for your community and don't, make it hard on anyone, budget wise or anything else. So it's wonderful advice. And we have an event coming up April 18th which is an easy lift, we think. It's called Two Lights for Tomorrow. It's a nationwide way to commemorate Paul Revere's march or ride to Lexington. One if by land, two if by sea. We all know that poem. And basically, nationwide, people are putting on two lights in their home, steeple, state house, wherever, to commemorate Paul Revere's ride. And the calling to do this, what they're saying on the national level, I'll just share with you, is to spread a message calling on everyone in the country to join together in support of one another, to serve each other, our neighbors, and our communities. And the call for two lights to be displayed is a reminder that the message of light shining out in the darkness is not just something that mattered back then, it's something that matters today and for tomorrow. So it's called Two Lights for Tomorrow. It would be the evening of April 18th. That happens to be Good Friday. So some buildings will be closed. If it is out of alignment with religious beliefs about darkness on Good Friday, I think that's something to be further explored. Also, some communities are doing a day of service on Saturday, April 19th, and we've decided not to do that because it's Easter weekend and people are spending time with family. So we will probably have a day of service sometime in the future.
Are you reaching out to the high school and middle school students?
Yes, we're reaching out. We have Michelle Dean, who's director of curriculum, part of our kind of advisory group. You know, we're keeping her abreast of what ideas we have. And so she'll communicate to the different grade levels. And after letting you all know this, I'm going to reach out to the scouts so that they will know as well. But we'll also reach out to the community and
that's good.
We'll see two lights, hopefully many windows.
If you send this to Jeannie, Delora, and Ian, I'm sure that he'll put this through the school
Okay, great.
Friday. When you let him know which Friday you'd like it to go.
Okay, thank you. And I am sharing this with you now, but I have to say, Selectman Lamppost knows much more about this topic historically. And the men who left here, close to 100, I believe, went to Lexington. So it's quite a history that we're part of. And happy to have the town support. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? Anyone online that has public comment? Seeing no. Andre, would you like to speak?
Sure. Hi, good evening, Andre Greco, 58 White Sand Beach Road. I know that the topic of the gazebo is back on the agenda tonight to have further discussion and potentially take some action. Just wanted to offer a little bit of perspective from our association's point of view and my personal point of view. From our association's point of view, we really don't use the gazebo. It's basically for folks who are coming in once in a while to actually use that space. You know, I'm fortunate that I have a bird's eye view of that gazebo from my house, and I gotta tell you, there's hardly anyone ever under there, and certainly not anyone using it on a consistent basis. I know that the budget was roughly 95 grand, and I'm assuming that it's higher now based on FEMA getting involved. I actually took a walk down there this morning, and between the pipes that are all rusted out and then the foundation on the shore side, which is really rotted, it appears that it is relatively unsafe from my perspective anyway. I'm not an engineer, but it certainly looks like it is. If you want to spend a fraction of that money, I have an idea of what we could do for that parking area. You know, we've both have some risk from an association perspective and a town perspective of folks being down there all hours of the night and doing not so great stuff. And what I would propose is that we gate off both ends of that parking lot and have that closed from 9 PM until the following morning when the folks come over and actually open up and clean out the restrooms and things of that nature. I think that we get a lot more bang for our buck by doing that versus spending upwards of $100,000 and replacing the gazebo. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else online that would like to participate in public comment? Paula, Nancy, Sheila, there's a resident. Glenn, I think that's you online. Anybody? Nope. Okay. Hearing none, we will move on to approval of minutes. The first minutes that we need to approve are those of February 10th. Jim was not here, so I have two quick corrections. Do you have any?
I have a correction on page 2. Sloan Dannenhauer is misspelled, second paragraph down.
Okay,
It's D as in David, Anenhower.
we're missing an N.
Yes.
Okay.
And the next paragraph down, there's a backslash after the word passed under motion passed, and I'm not sure if there was something to follow.
Thank you. And I have two corrections on page 1. Under the motion for Jude that you made for Nicole Cable, it's the next to the last one. It's a 3-year term, and the same exact one is for Brandy Campbell. It's a 3-year term for their regular terms on the conservation committees. So those will need to be corrected.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of February 10th
With those corrections.
with those
I will
corrections.
second. Any other further discussion? Hearing none. Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
Thank you. Okay. And the next one is our February 24th minutes that were done last week. So if you've read through these, please let me know if you see any changes on this.
On the last page, under number 8, I think it's under 8, maybe not there. I had, the third paragraph down, Selectman Reed asked about the status of Tanamaheg. I don't recall being told that we would know something in the middle of the March. I was told that I had a copy of the communication and you'd let me know later. So is that the middle of March?
He gets
He's
back
back
from
to that.
vacation, then
Okay,
I'll meet with him and try to set up the update.
great. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'd like to add under the grant that the town received,
Could you,
Solstice Stone.
yeah, what page was that, Jim?
I don't have it in front of
Okay,
me.
hold on. I think it's on page 1.
Yeah, I think it's right in the beginning.
Yep.
3/4 of the way down, yes.
Educational signage for the Solstice stand at the transit hub. You want to,
I'd like to add that it came from the Eastern Region Tourism District. It was their 2025 Regional Marketing Partnership Program. Give credit where credit is due.
okay, Eastern Region Tourist District. And what was the second part?
2025 Regional Marketing Partnership Program. Partnership Program.
That's a lot. Jim, do you know if that's an ongoing thing? Or is that just, was that a one-time thing and it's done?
I believe it's a yearly program.
Someone else asked me about it today and I will get to you as somebody else who needs a sign for something
Okay.
in town to see. Okay, so moving on. We have some old business to do as far as ordinance changes, which is really a working session for all of us. But Mr. Olson is here and he has the project regarding White Sand Beach gazebo. And I would like it if we could amend the agenda to move him up because he has some family obligations later on this evening. So can I have a motion to amend the agenda to move White Sand Beach to A?
I'll make that motion to move White Sands Beach to A.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, let's call for a vote to amend the agenda to move letter C, White Sand Beach gazebo project, to letter A. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Anyone? I would say no. Okay, good. Eric, would you like to come forward to review those numbers with us and the situation with the gazebo?
How we doing?
Good, how are you?
Okay.
Good.
Everyone still have that copy from last week?
I do.
Okay. Why did you do
I
that?
didn't bring it, but
Okay.
that one, I'll take it. I just, do you have yours,
I
Jim?
have mine.
Okay.
Do you guys have any questions after meeting last week? Any follow-up? Before I make this-
He can't, she's
Sorry.
not here.
You guys have any questions, follow-up from last week's meeting?
I have one. Martha, did you mention a dollar amount that would get us through plans, drawings? Can you give me that total?
So
Looking at this. sheet.
looking at the
Yeah.
sheet there, that would be the third line down on the DACO. That's 12,500 for them to do complete engineering plans.
I'm under the impression that DACO sold and they're operating under a different name.
Yeah, it's, and
And
I,
what is that?
Sound engineering, I believe.
And they are out of Fairfield County?
No,
I'm
they're out of
asking.
Mystic.
I know DACO was, but the company that bought them.
yeah, they were,
They've had two offices, Mystic and down further down the shoreline. I'm not sure exactly what town it is, so I don't want to misspeak, but they have had the two offices for a long time, and then they just changed the name.
So the one downstate as well as Mystic
Kind of merged.
merged together and he sold.
Yeah, I think
He was the
he's-
owner and principal at one time. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
So he's, okay, so
So it's 12.5 to get us through
The-
zoning and permitting? No, through engineer foundation and structural.
correct. So we would have all of the plans, including what Jacobson did in the line above that.
Yep.
With the site stuff, the site planning. That was that 1,827 that I have there. I have the 5,000 is just a placeholder on that. So that would get us all the plans that we need if we wanted to go out to a bid, to an RFP, to get numbers back.
So the 12.5 plus any portion to Nathan Jacobson.
Yeah,
Okay.
that should be a good number because they're complete with their work. So,
we just put the paperwork in for Nathan Jacobson's payment today for.
Okay.
18.
Eric.
Yeah.
You know, the cost is kind of mind-boggling, and a lot of it's driven by the FEMA requirement with the 1,000-year, flood standard for the foundation and putting in piers and all that. Is there any possibility of appealing to the state to get out from under some of those requirements? Because it is seasonal. There's no utilities to it. No walls. I mean, it's a very, very simple structure.
I would have to check with Eric and Mark. They're the ones that I had spoke to originally when we started this on what we would need to do to get, the zoning approval and building approval. And they listed out the necessary steps that we would have to go through, CAM review and, the coastal area management. So I can ask that question if there's a process for us to get a waiver, and whatnot. I don't know that answer.
Thank you.
Because it would be almost cheaper to build two. If we had to.
Also, given what Andre is saying, and is there any benefit to building something that could be moved and stored for the winter season and then replaced? I don't use it. I'm not there all the time. Andre seems to have eyes on it. Do we need to investigate further the need of this structure? I know something is needed, but I'm getting feedback from people in town that they don't want that money spent at this time, whether it's through the engineering or not.
Certainly we can, I ask when I speak with Eric and Mark about that, if it's a temporary structure, is that allowed with,
Yeah, is it allowed?
you know, with the state regulations. Obviously, we could have a storm in the summertime, it still has
Of
to
course,
stay in
of course.
place. You know, that sort of thing. That's certainly an avenue we could take. You know, I could talk to Park and Rec because they're the ones that run that site. They would have probably the best knowledge that they're there every day over the summertime as far as usage of, you know, the structure. You know, it's possible it's not getting used a lot currently because of the condition it's in. Maybe people
Understood.
don't feel,
And it's off season.
yeah,
Well,
yeah, currently right now, yeah. So those are some things we can also, you know, investigate. It's a simple asking a couple questions.
I think that, you know, first of all, one of the things was that when we went to town meeting, the 95,000 was a number that had been projected from Jacobson. And when they realized they had to go into more of a coastal planning because of the location, that's when they said they were not able to fulfill our needs any further and suggested that we go to sound, and which we did. And they came in at first with not such a heavy, they didn't think it was going to be a big deal at first. And they were going to be able to help us. We thought it was going to be a simple pour concrete, whatever, and same thing. And then things changed when they went into looking into the fine tuning. But the problem that I think we've seen is that we've seen some engineering groups give us some very low ball numbers, and we've been surprised by what's come back. We've also seen some engineering firms give us some very high numbers, and they've come back lower. So I would certainly love to be able to, this is not something that because of the pricing, we would have to go back. It's not 100 and total, what was it that we said that we would do was totals? Was it 173?
That was
That-
the C or, you know, from Tim, that 173. He had a higher number in the civil engineering. That's why on my spreadsheet, it's 168. So, you know, we're not talking a big difference, but
Right.
that also includes some engineering review during the construction if we needed to, you know, to have that. So, you know, high number 168. So yes, it is a high number and that's why we're here talking about it.
I think everybody would like it,
Mhm.
but in light of all the money we seem to be putting out this year, it seems like a lot. Lot more.
So
But first of all, this is really and truly a project from Parks and Rec. And they have a meeting, I believe it's this week or next week. And so I would like to run it by them because this is theirs. This is their project. It's something that they oversee. They take care of making sure it's cleaned out, swept off, etc. And I would hate to not have their input on this. Jim, do you have anything to say?
I mean, I agree. I'd like to have a little bit more time on this, at least to have Eric run down the possibilities of getting out from under FEMA requirements, hearing from Parks and Rec, and having heard from Mr. Greco and his perspective. You know, I'd like to table this one for a bit to gather some more information.
Okay, so we will table this until hopefully our next meeting, which is on St. Patrick's Day.
okay, I will speak to, you know, who I will speak with and get that information back to you. We can make a decision. And I'll have Don, you know, talk about it at his Park and Recs Commission and get their feedback into it as well. And then we can make a good informed decision if we need to stop where we're at and go from there.
We already know that we wouldn't proceed with this anyways this summer because of the timing. So the only thing that we do know is that the gazebo the current one has to be taken down because of the safety issues with it. So that we will talk to also to Park and Rec. and I saw Bob Dunn this morning, but I will talk to Don Bugby tomorrow and tell him to add this to make sure it gets added to the agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, yep, you're welcome.
Thank you so
Yep.
much. Good luck on basketball games
Thanks.
next week. Okay, so now we get into our work of the ordinance revision. The first one is the volunteer fireman one, and we requested some more time to go over this, so I would like to revisit it again as far as Mr. McCarthy's request. And this has been gone through our, has gone through our lawyers, our town attorneys. So do we have any questions or concerns on any of the sections of the Connecticut general statutes that they have provided us, as well as the taxation interest? And I do have, and I emailed to both of you, the retirement plan and sent that to you last week so that you would have how it goes, is taken care of and implemented for our volunteers. That way everybody has it, and now we'll know moving forward.
I do not have any questions regarding what Mr. McCarthy presented last week.
Okay.
And I support the, this would take place beginning July 1 of 2025, correct?
It would go into effect for the fiscal year, yes,
Right.
next year fiscal year, and it would be and they did discuss that when the fire department came to Board of Finance as well. They also, we would have to take this to town meeting, would have to be passed and then moved on for town meeting vote on this particular subject. So I think what we have to do is make a motion to accept the changes and then move forward to present that to town meeting, if that's what you'd like to do.
I'd like to make the motion to accept the changes to the ordinance for the volunteer fire department and ambulance as presented by Rob McCarthy.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Let's call for a vote. All those in favor of moving the changes to, I just want to get the ordinance correct. The volunteer fire and ambulance tax abatement, which is in chapters 150-7, 150-10 in our ordinance book. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So difficult to do when there's only three of us. Okay, we're there, we're past. Okay, the next one is a little bit more difficult to get through. And this is the Sound View parking lot changes. Over the years, a lot of changes have been made to this ordinance, or rules have been made. And I think we really need to look at this, and Frank had sent an email, which I had sent to both of you, on the changes, and basically he's asking us to make some changes to the sections. We end at H currently. And then what he would like to do is add I and I believe it's G. Make a change to G. So he wants to add I. And this would be section 161-11. Their suggestions are each parking lot must have an owner or designated physical attendant on the site from opening of the lot. I'll give you this language, Suzanne. You don't have to try to get it all. Opening of the lot to its closing to ensure that all rules and regulations are complied with and have the capability to contact public safety in an emergency situations. This is required of all lots, whether charges are collected by the owner attendant or charges are collected electronically or by other means. And then he continues with, each parking lot must have its ingress, egress areas clearly marked and be secured by metal chain or similar type and lock. Chain must also include a sign not to exceed 9 by 18 inches in size, noting the lot is closed. No parking lot is allowed to display any type of feather flag per section 19 of the Old Lyme zoning regulations. These type flags are not permitted in the town of Old Lyme. Parking lots may have additional rules, regulations in certain areas of town that must be complied with for those areas or special events or seasonal uses. And then in section G, he would like to add, each parking area shall have a sign posted in a prominent place, which shall have the hours of operation must be noted. And there are several items that need to be addressed with regards to least permitted lots. I think the rest of that is more his discussion with us.
I have a question because I'm not, Jim lives down here. He's much more familiar than I am. So our town parking lot is manned for the entire hours of operation, correct? From when they open until we leave?
There are rangers there. There are rangers on the
On the town property.
And they usually have a ranger vehicle there,
Mhm.
and there's usually one. They do go through the parking lot every few hour or so, going through, checking, ticketing, etc. I wouldn't say, not in the olden days when Don Bugby used to have a student or
Right,
person
right.
stationed there. I have been there when I've driven in and there hasn't been somebody on the property. So that is something to consider.
And so our lot, our hours are established 9 to 9. Sometimes we close at 6. No, I'm asking, I'm not
Yeah.
looking because I know there's been a lot of discussion about the public lot in the past.
9 to 9,
Okay, so,
unless it's full
right, and then it's closed.
and they close, and sometimes it's full for regular vehicles, but they will open it for a handicap, or
Understood.
they'll open it if they see cars leaving.
So until 9 o'clock at night, that lot is unattended if there is not a ranger on duty?
It's usually from 6 to 9, and it is definitely unattended because
Yeah.
that is the time when that is free parking. We do not charge from 6 to
Mhm.
9. And a lot of townspeople
Right.
come and use it to get ice cream, ride the
Of
carousel,
course,
et cetera.
right, or even go to Kokomo's for a drink or so. I guess my concern is, and I fully support the safety, the security in that area, and I understand the problems you're having. It's kind of hard, I think, for us to request that of a property owner if we're not doing it ourselves.
I totally,
And I don't
yeah, I totally
know all the
agree.
details and of what goes on down there, but it seems a big ask.
It used to be all the lots had an attendant,
I thought so.
especially, the private lots were run by the property owner typically
Correct.
at that time.
Yep.
And in recent years, we've seen, some of this get farmed out, have them not attended.
Mhm.
We've seen some real mayhem in the lots, including the town lot. So you're
Exactly.
correct to point that out. And I agree that it's hard to put this burden on the private lot owners when the town isn't going to do it for itself. I would support always having a ranger on hand because that, you can't always have a police officer down there. I understand that, but having a ranger, at least during the high season, that's kind of eyes and ears, especially in that corner, that southeast corner of the parking lot.
Totally.
You can see everyone coming and going. You can see what's going on. At least you can call it in if there's,
Absolutely.
So I would agree with that. I agree with all the changes in this proposed in this ordinance. And I would add something, what we've seen, with the, businesses renting out or creating kind of an overflow parking for their patrons, which we try to do to accommodate the businesses,
Yep.
which is understandable, especially along the beach. But what we've also seen is those businesses renting out or selling the parking spots, separately. So you can go on their website and for $35 you can buy parking for the day and not be a patron of the business. Now that flies in the face of everything we've been doing.
That's not how it was originally passed.
It's a slap
it's
in the
not.
face to
Right.
people who do have parking areas down there
It's not
that have
fair.
been fined
Mhm.
because they have been selling for beach parking. If you do that, you get fined. And now we've just sort of been allowing this. So I think we have to add into this ordinance that the business parking or the leased parking for businesses can't be sold freestanding.
I agree with you.
It should be for
Well,
patrons.
That is, I believe, that was approved by zoning.
That you could
that-
sell it?
No,
They could use
no,
it for their
no, but
business.
there
Correct.
was an agreement made with
Mhm.
that particular parking lot, which had parameters that they were supposed to follow.
Well,
One of which was to have an attendant on duty at all times.
So we need enforcement of that
Right.
regulation.
I think there are some other things that have happened there that have
Mhm.
not been within the rules and regs that were set up for them. So that has to be addressed. And who enforces it? Because that becomes the next piece. If it's a zoning reg that they set up for them, then it's zoning.
Right.
And then who enforces that?
Well,
Because it would have to be the ZEO.
well,
We have to find who enforced it. Say a business was selling parking or a homeowner.
Right.
Same thing, it used to be sometimes a homeowner would, for $100 you can park in their yard. And then we started finding them $500 a pop.
Right.
That didn't work. And I believe it was the police that went down and investigated and
They can do
flagged
it,
it.
those types of
And then
things,
the
but
town
I'm not
would issue
sure
the
how they,
fine.
we're gonna have to find out how. I mean, because of the fact it's all in the same area, we have to figure out how it can be policed. I mean, Matt Weber will say to me, unless there's an ordinance, we can't do anything about it. And we can't enforce it unless there's an ordinance.
but zoning has rules and regulations, and I'm still not clear when someone finds a violation that's zoning, if it's being managed by zoning, or if, and what does enforcement mean in zoning in this town? And that's a huge question. And if zoning changed this parking area, I would expect they're responsible for detailing and or enforcing what the regulation violation is. How that's done, I don't know, but I would expect that's the zoning department to answer.
So that's one particular lot
Mhm.
that has a special,
I think we all know where that is.
exception.
Yep. The
Land
zoning,
to zoning. So those questions would have to be answered by that. We'd like to certainly bring ours in line
of course.
with asking for the same.
I have a question too on feather flags. Are we talking about the fabric like rainbow on a
What kind of-
stick, or the little inflatable guy who gets up and waves? Is that
Both.
what we're talking about? Okay.
I think it's-
So they're down there now when we're not enforcing that, or is there, it says they're not allowed, but
They're
they're
not
being
allowed,
used.
but they are down there. The ones that are like 10, 12 feet tall, whatever, long now, they look like a big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are they?
There's one particular private lot. I don't want
Oh,
to point them out,
okay.
but yeah.
Or they have
Off
some
to
on,
the side, the one that's off to the side. Yes. So that,
all those should be enforced as well. If
And
it's
we
not
also
allowed,
have-
it's not allowed.
and we have one, I believe, business in town that also
Mhm.
is not following
Okay.
completely.
Because I see it, my assumption was it was allowed. It hasn't been asked to be taken down.
And the fines, if the fine is $25 or $50,
Right, you just pay the fine.
fine, and just go with it and go on. You said there were fines of $500?
It's $500. Actually, there's an ordinance right now that if you allow parking on your property and you're not a permitted lot, it's $500. about the beaches. And it's been enforced. People have been popped for it and people have been angry.
And then they stop.
Really angry, but then they stop. They
Because
scream
it's-
and yell,
right.
they pay it and they stop. So,
And I believe that ordinance goes way back. My son was a ranger down there 19 years ago and they were enforcing it
that's
then.
about when we passed it. And I'll tell you, because I live at the top of the street and people will come
Yep.
up and they'll offer you
Of course they will.
$200,
Yep.
to park in your yard. And I know a lot of people won't want to say no.
Well, it's hard to sometimes.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Okay, so let's look at this. If you look at the language, just that he wants to add to I that you were given,
Yep.
it's a lot. I think we agree that having someone, a physical attendant on site is not a bad idea. And part of the problem here comes with the fact that when people come back to their cars after the beach,
Mhm.
they tend to open their trunk, pop open an alcoholic beverage. And I've seen it myself from standing at the town parking lot
Mhm.
and looking around. So I understand the concern about safety and following the rules. And there hasn't been an attendant in the lot at those times, but we do have some people who are very good about manning their parking lots, and I cannot complain
Mhm.
about all of them. Is there anything in this section that you question or you want strongly changed? Anything?
I do not. However, I think it'd be hard for us to approve it.
Oh,
if
I'm not
we're-
asking to
No,
approve
I
it.
know.
I want to draft it.
I'm fine with it, but I want the same rules for us as well.
Okay. And I'm going to assume that we all know that if there was an emergency on the beach and the ranger in the parking lot got called away to
Oh,
help,
of course.
we understand that that would happen.
That's,
Um,
and the same thing with the property owner. If somebody got hurt and he had to do something for 911, he had to leave the lot for a minute or hour, we understand, but it's the exception, not the rule.
Is there anything in the additions to item G that, I mean, the hours of operation. I'm sorry, having allergies, I think. Spring must be coming. Hours of operation must be noted, which is in their permit package.
Again, it's enforcement, it sounds like.
The other thing that I want to say is, are we thinking of any type of a fine if some of these things are not done? Follow through on.
I think that would, maybe the Frank's commission could make recommendations about that. You know, maybe have it escalating, written warning. You know, you'd have to have a process, but I'm not against that.
Okay. I hate passing these keep continuously on because of the fact that we really need to try to wrap this up for the May 27th town meeting. So I will do my best to work with Frank this week on this and
Excellent.
go forward with that. Et cetera. Okay. So we've come to that point in our meeting when we need to move into, I'd like to call for an executive session. I will need a motion to move into executive session and invite Greg Fatoma to come before us for the purpose of discussion of the selection of a site and or possible acquisition of real estate by the town.
Before we do that,
Sorry.
excuse me, did we want to
Oh, I'm
talk
sorry.
about this proclamation?
so
I think
much.
we can do it very quickly
I
and
think so
March
too.
15th is coming up.
Yes.
So sorry, Greg, just 2
David,
more minutes.
just one quick, David Ruggles.
Well, yep, I gave you the proclamation.
Yeah.
We have it all.
Last week, and we're going to be launching America 250. Cheryl is taking care of that website, and David Ruggles will be introducing our America 250 campaign. And as I mentioned last week, I think he's a great unsung American hero, a native son of our town, and was instrumental in the freedom movement for a lot of people through history.
So Jim, normally in a proclamation, we might see more of a whereas format.
Yeah, they could be whereas formats.
And we would like to probably put this on some town stationery.
Okay,
And I'm happy to take a stab at the whereas.
Mhm.
And what would you like to call it? It's a day in honor of David Ruggles? Is it?
it's his birthday, March 15th.
Celebration.
So yeah, celebration, David Ruggles Day, whatever it is.
Of an unsung American hero.
And Lime is very excited about this. I had a meeting with them, and they're going to have a year-long campaign to get Ruggles, more in the public consciousness. And they're very excited about us making this gesture and kicking it off.
So their party is going to be better than ours. Theirs going for 365.
Well, we're going to be working, together. We'll be promoting each other, basically.
How about if I take stab at this tomorrow morning?
Okay.
Send it to you. I'll
Sounds
send
great.
it to you, both of you.
Mhm.
But we will write a proclamation using this particular language and history that Jim has provided to us about David Ruggles. And then you would like me to put this out on March 15th, which is a Saturday. So we would have to do it prior to.
Friday's fine, yeah.
Also, do you think maybe if we have it done by this Friday, which is the, 7th, we could allude to it so people don't miss it the following Friday and say, oh, I'm reading about it after the fact.
Yep.
Okay,
We'll try to get it out in the newsletter and on the website for the end of this week, if not first thing Monday morning.
sounds good.
Okay, so I don't think do we need, maybe let's put a vote that we're going to write a proclamation for David Ruggles, just so that it goes into our history books. Jim?
I'd like to make a motion that we declare March 15th, 2025 David Ruggles Day, and a proclamation is issued based on the draft.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other further discussion? Okay, hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstentions? None. Okay, hearing none, motion passes. Okay, at this time, we go to our,
I'll make a motion to go into executive session at 6:20.
okay,
I'll second.
any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those, we're inviting Greg Fatoma in, all the rest of you. I hope you go home and have a nice dinner with your families and enjoy
Good to see
the
you.
rest of the evening.